Hey, picking your class in WoW feels like a permanent decision. It's not. Even more so than choosing your main, you actually discover it over time. If you're just here for a quick answer and don't want to overthink it, here's a simple starting point. If you want an easy range DPS, go Beast Mastery Hunter. Very mobile, very forgiving, and probably the easiest spec in the game to get into. If you want a melee, Havoc Demon Hunter is a solid choice. Low number of buttons, very straightforward and hard to mess up. If you want to try healing, Holy Priest is the easiest entry point. Very reactive, very intuitive, and you basically respond to what happens on your screen. And if you want to tank, Guardian Druid is probably very simple to start with. Again, very forgiving, easy to understand, and it lets you focus on learning the role more so than learning the class, which is very important for tanks. If that's all you needed, you can honestly just pick one of these and go. But if you want to understand how this decision actually plays out long term, this is where it gets a bit interesting. When I first started WoW, I played Mage, and after weeks of leveling I realized I don't enjoy it at all. It took me almost a decade to revisit Mage again. So I switched and I tried Rogue. That felt much better and I would have committed to my Rogue, but my friends wanted to start fresh. I leveled the Hunter with my friends and that became my first real main. I raided on it, played PvP on it, even got the famous vanilla bow Rockdilla. At that point I thought, alright, that's it, I'm a Hunter main. It actually wasn't. In TBC I moved to a Warrior because it was strong especially for Arena. And it worked, but it still didn't really stick. I was still searching, looking for the perfect glove that fits me. We are now multiple years into my WoW journey. The first time I actually started understanding what I enjoy was when I had the chance to try a lot of classes at max level. Different roles, different playstyles without committing weeks just to level them. That's where I begin to see patterns, what feels good and what doesn't. After that I took a very long break, but the knowledge I took from that phase still shapes my understanding today. Later when I came back to retail, I did what most people do. I went back to what I knew. I leveled my warrior first. And again, it kinda didn't click. Then I got back into raiding, tried different roles, watched high level gameplays, specifically Paragon kill videos from Highmall. And at that point I discovered also playing the Restoration Druid at a high level. And something about it just makes sense to me. I leveled my Druid, but again ended up playing Priest for my guild until we cleared. After that I finally switched to my Druid full time, and it has been my main ever since. And even that wasn't kind of final. Don't get me wrong, I still play my Druid as my main today. But I also play multiple classes depending on what I need. And plus raids, different roles. It evolved again. And that's the point, your main changes as your understanding of the game changes. Most new players try to solve this up front. They might even look at tier lists, damage numbers, or what's best. But that's the wrong question, because you don't know yet what you actually enjoy playing. And then there isn't just one path here. What I described is one way. It's the path a lot of high-level players end up taking. Trying multiple classes, understanding the game deeply and becoming flexible. At that level, you almost have to do that. Especially tanks and healers tend to explore multiple classes because the core ideas transfer and it's small differences that can matter depending on the content. But again, that's not the only way. There are plenty of players who pick a class on day one and never switch. They play mage for years or hunter, and that's it. And it works just as well. So the goal is not to find the correct class. The goal is to start somewhere and pay attention how it feels. Alright, I show you some gameplay in the background so you can get a feel for the classes, and I'll briefly walk you through what each one is about. You should decide your starting point on what looks and feels right to you. Don't worry, you can't pick wrong, it's a process. Warrior is a pure physical fighter, no magic, just weapons and direct combat. Their identity is very grounded, like a frontline soldier who wins through pressure and consistency. They're always in the fight, always pushing forward. Gameplay is very direct and aggressive, focused on staying in combat and maintaining uptime. Paladin combines melee combat with holy magic. Their fantasy is about being a protector and a force of light, supporting allies while standing in the front. They feel durable, reliable, with a strong sense of purpose. Gameplay mixes damage and utility, making them feel stable and impactful. Hunter is a ranged fighter with a strong connection to the wild. Their identity revolves around fighting alongside their pet and surviving in nature. That bond with their companion is a big part of the class. Gameplay is very mobile and forgiving, allowing you to deal damage while constantly moving. Rogue is all about stealth and precision. They are assassins, almost like ninjas. Their fantasy is built around control, timing, and striking when it matters most. They rely on positioning, smart decision making rather than brute force. Gameplay is fast and punishing, but very rewarding if executed cleanly. Priest channels either Holy Light or Shadow. Their identity ranges from a supportive healer to something much darker and more destruction focused. They feel more spiritual and less physical than most other classes. Gameplay is mostly casting and requires awareness and timing of resources. Shaman is deeply connected to the elements. Fire, water, earth, and air all play a role in their identity. They use these forces through abilities and totems to influence the fight. Gameplay feels reactive and rhythmic, often driven by procs and effects. Mage is a pure spellcaster, focused on mastering magic. Their identity is about knowledge, control, and raw power. They represent the classic ranged caster. Gameplay is structured and planned, often built around strong burst windows. Warlock uses dark magic and demonic power. Their fantasy is about gaining strength at a cost, controlling forces that are inherently dangerous. They summon demons, apply pressure over time. Gameplay is slower and more deliberate, often focused on setup and resource building. Monk combines martial arts with an inner balance. Their identity is about fluid movement, discipline, and control. They feel very dynamic, very different from traditional classes. Gameplay is fast and ability driven with a strong sense of flow. Druid is deeply connected to the nature and the balance of the world around it. Their identity revolves around preserving and channeling natural forces, often tied to things like the Emerald Dream. What makes Druid unique is their ability to shapeshift and adapt to almost any situation. Gameplay is flexible and option-heavy, where you choose the right tool instead of following a single fixed approach. Death Knight is an undead warrior, empowered by dark magic. Their fantasy is about inevitability, decay, and overwhelming force. They feel heavy, powerful, and hard to stop. Gameplay is slower but very impactful, centered around managing resources and big abilities. Demon Hunter is built around speed and aggression. Their identity comes from using demonic powers at the cost of their own safety. They are highly mobile and very offensive focused. Gameplay is fast paced and movement heavy with simple but effective mechanics. Last but not least we have Evoker, tied to the draconic powers and the legacy of the dragon flights. Their identity revolves around channeling different aspects of dragon magic. They feel unique and more modern compared to older classes. Gameplay includes positioning and charged abilities, giving them a distinct rhythm. And that's really all you need to get started. Pick something that looks interesting. Play it for a bit. And if it doesn't click, switch. That's not wasted time, that's the process. That's how you actually find your main in WoW. If this helped you get started, that's all I wanted to do with this video. If you enjoyed the video, it would be very kind of you to like and subscribe. See you on the next one. Bye bye.